Hello everyone, my name is Mayank Noni and I am a technology evangelist. Today I'm going to share a very interesting instance that happened in one of my batches wherein I had a group of mentees who are transitioning from different careers into the cloud industry. So my job is to make sure that they are given the right direction and their questions are answered. Right. A very basic question was raised during one of the sessions that why do we need cloud at the first place? What was wrong with the conventional IT? Right? End of the day, cloud resembles the conventional IT. What are the key differences that really made the push or the transition from conventional IT into the cloud what it is today? So again, the answer are there flooded on the internet. But for some reasons, the mentees were not able to relate with the answers that they were reading over the internet. So I had to come up with something that resonates with everyone. It's not very technical in nature, but it sort of, establishes the grounds for having cloud at the first place. So to understand that, we have to go a bit further and discuss about the situation in past wherein there was no cloud, right? So I quoted an example. Well, it's not very technical in nature, but that was the reason why I took this example at the first place. So for people from Singapore, this example is going to resonate well with them, but for people from other countries, I'll try to make it as clear as possible. So the example contains a local cuisine called chicken rice, right? So you can choose any cuisine of your choice. So imagine uh, a hawker, or a seller selling chicken rice in Singapore. He or she is pretty good in the business, right? And they want to expand their business beyond what it is today, right? And during one point of time, the mobile applications were booming, right? And everybody had a mobile, everybody would use mobile to order food, drinks, right? So how do the person selling chicken rice starts leveraging on that particular aspect and you know makes a benefit out of that particular adoption, that is mobile applications. He or she has to first create a portal for the company which is selling chicken rice, then probably accept transactions over it. I mean we are referring to e-commerce side in short. So how would that person begin that particular journey, right? Imagine there was no cloud. How would the person begin that journey? Because as of today, in today's context, it's very easy for us to understand that there are a lot of platforms in Singapore or globally available, wherein as a food seller I can just onboard myself onto the platform and start selling. But we need to be mindful that those platforms are also operational on cloud, right? So we are talking about a scenario wherein there is no cloud. So how do we go about it? Again, it's all the traditional IT that we are referring to in this scenario. What do? We have to get some servers or probably some desktop which would suffice. What I need to do is I need to host a portal there, right? And that portal can be hosted on Linux or Wintel instance. I mean, whatever suits my requirement or my expertise, right? And I start hosting my application, or rather a portal, a very simplistic portal which accepts orders, right? Probably it has a payment gateway as well, so people can place an order over the internet and buy chicken rice, and the chicken rice is delivered to them, right? I have condiments as well which I want to publish on the portal as well. For example, the spices that I use to make chicken rice, the sauces, everything. And imagine after a while, my 20% or 30% revenue starts coming from that portal, right? And that's a big number. That's a big number. And all of a sudden, I start hearing complaints that the application is slow. It takes a time to load. At times, the application would crash. So it sort of indicates that something is wrong with the infra that I'm using, right? Or probably the load on my portal has increased because my user base has increased. What do I need to do now in this situation? The chicken rice, the person who's selling chicken rice now starts buying servers. In order to connect servers together, there has to be a basic network, right? Some basic level of security, some firewalls, right? Some storage. I need to make sure that if my application goes down or my server crashes, I can restore the backup and make sure my business continues as usual. Now, we forgot about chicken rice in the discussion just now. We are focusing more on the IT aspects of it. So as a chicken rice seller, my focus is not on the IT infra part. My focus is on chicken rice. I need to make sure that I provide the same level of quality, if not better, what I am serving now to my customers. And IT is just an enabler, right? But as my business starts growing, my dependency on the IT or the application starts growing, it becomes a very complicated piece, and it becomes extremely difficult for me as a chicken rice seller to manage the portal. So what do I need to do? I need to hire the experts. The experts now come into the picture, right? They start managing the environment, and the environment is overloaded, right? And as much as my dependency on this infra keeps on growing, my environment has to be scaled up vertically and horizontally, right? I have to increase the number of servers, or I have to increase the server resources to make sure that my customers, they get an optimal experience while they are trying to make transaction or order their meals on my portal, right? Again, I need to remind everyone that we are talking about a time wherein there is no cloud. So the platforms, the major platforms, the popular platforms which are powered by cloud are non-existent at that point of time. So imagine the entire business objective is to sell chicken rice, right? And IT being enabler is becoming very difficult to manage. Probably at some point of time, my focus would be more on managing the server than on creating quality chicken rice. This is the problem that cloud is trying to solve for you. It takes away the complications of managing an IT infra, right? And you focus on your business. The heavy lifting work is done by the cloud service provider. So imagine now this hawker has to transition from the on-premise environment that he or she was maintaining to the cloud. How easy it becomes. Probably a WordPress portal which can be hosted statically on S3, right? Or probably a EC2 based application, right? So what really happens now is I do not have to have hardware on premise. I don't have to manage hardware. I do not have to really think about hiring people to manage the underlay. Yeah, I mean, at one point of time, I still need to have people who will manage the application. That is where we talk about the shared responsibility metrics of cloud. But again, that is something that I'm going to cover in a different video. But at this point of time, you know what has happened. The focus was on chicken rice, but the focus as the business and the revenue from the application started growing, gradually started shifting towards the IT. That is what cloud is saving you from, right? For example, I sell a lot of chicken rice during the Chinese New Year. My sales are like 4 times, 5 times during the Chinese New Year. But post Chinese New Year, my sales, they reduce dramatically, right? People don't really use the application to order so many meals as they do during the Chinese New Year. So what do I do in order to make sure that the user experience is optimal during the peak seasons? I have to scale up horizontally or vertically, right? Increase the number of servers on premise. But when the peak dies, the resources are just sitting there, right? In terms of resource wastage, you can clearly understand that the resources will be there standby. Probably we can power them off, but there has been a considerable investment on them, right? So how do we deal with that on cloud? Cloud provides you scalability, flexibility, on demand usage. So you don't really have to worry about creating a forecast for the year. When you want to scale out, you scale out, right? When you do not want the resources anymore, you just shut them down. So that is the beauty of on demand resources. So what I'm going to do is, in the forthcoming videos, I'm going to code this example. This video serves as the foundation for the forthcoming discussion. So I hope you liked this video. If there are any suggestions around it, in case of any clarification, the idea didn't come across clearly, please feel free to drop your comments, right? I'll be reading all of them, and please do share what topics you want me to cover. So as I said before, for the forthcoming sessions, I'm going to code this example, and all of the cloud-based services will revolve around this example. What happens when the chicken rice business starts growing, right? How do you manage it on cloud with the relevant cloud services example? Well, that's all for today. This is Mike Noni. Thank you for your time.